welcome back to In the Kitchen with Delightful Donna. Today we're gonna make some pickled vegetables. And this is something that we eat in our family along with most meals. And generally speaking, we do carrots and onions with a little bit of garlic, actually a lot of garlic, my kids love garlic. And today I'm gonna add some cauliflower to that as well. And you can buy it in the store, it's called Jardiniere mix, very similar to that, but we're gonna make it homemade with no chemicals in it. So come along. Okay, so I'm using some rainbow carrots that I got from Trader Joe's, different colored ones, those look kind of cool. I have some jalapeños here, an onion, this is just a white onion, a bulb of garlic, and then some cauliflower. And what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna peel the carrots, and then we're gonna cut up the cauliflower, and we're gonna dry fit into our jars that we're using. You can adjust this recipe to make as many jars as you want. You wanna make one jar, you wanna make a dozen, however many you wanna make, and this makes great gifts. So if someone's having a wedding shower, or it's Christmas time, you wanna make it ahead of time to make a bunch of gifts, and this is a perfect recipe for that. So let's get started on peeling and chopping up our vegetables and dry fitting them into the jars. That's the first step. Okay, we're just peeling some carrots. I was just discussing with my husband that I don't normally use these type of carrots. I normally just use regular, so I'm wondering if the colored carrots are gonna turn the brine, because this one's pretty deep purple. I wonder if it'll change the color of the brine. So just want everyone to know that this is one technique of pickling. There are many out there. There's cold brines. This is gonna be a hot brine. There are many different ways to do it. I do not can mine, and that's a different technique as well. So these would be what you would consider a refrigerator pickle, just because they are stable in the refrigerator. They are not shelf stable. If you've never cut up a cauliflower, this is what it looks like when you take it out of the bag. And then pull all of these leaves off that are here. You can cut them off if you want to. Usually they just pop right off. And then the easiest way to do this, at least I'm not a mess, is to cut around this big stem into these big florets. So cut and just pop them off. And then you can cut them smaller if you want to. Probably will, so they fit in the jars. So we're just gonna continue cutting around until we get all the florets off. Okay, we made quick work of that. So this is the core, we don't want that, we'll just toss that. And then the alternative to this is, of course, you can buy cauliflower pre-cut in a bag in your produce section, but it's a lot less expensive to do it this way, obviously, so it's more economical for your pocketbook. And usually this is fresher as well. And for us, we're lucky where we live, this is actually fresh to us local. So that's another plus for us. So we'll continue breaking up these florets, and then we'll get them into the jars. Now, if you come across little brown spots like this on your cauliflower, it doesn't mean that it's completely bad. You can just trim it off. And pickling is a good way to use up vegetables that you have sitting in your fridge that you think might go bad, maybe you're not gonna use them in time. Then pickling is a good resource for that. This one has a little too much brown for my taste. I'm gonna toss that piece, but if it's just a little teeny piece, then you can just shave it off. Okay, we're just peeling garlic. Again, you can buy garlic already peeled, but I like to peel it myself if I can. Some of these skins don't want to come off. If anybody has any tips on peeling garlic, let me know in the comments, because this is ridiculous. Okay, I've peeled all the garlic, and I've reserved a few over here, as you can see, because we're gonna put those in the brine just to flavor the brine. And these are actually gonna go into the jars because we love pickled garlic. And I just told my husband too, I said, man, I should buy one of those big bags of the garlic that's already peeled and just make just pickled garlic. That would be so good. All right, we're gonna slice our onions. This is just a white onion, and we like ours kind of big pieces, a little bit wide, and so very simple, just chop them up. All right, let's cut up some jalapeno. I'm just gonna cut these in little circles. Get rid of these. Same thing, kind of just a little bit thick slices. They don't have to be super big, however big your family likes them. If you don't like spice or your family doesn't like spice, you don't have to put this in. We like a little bit of spice. I'm not using a ton of these. I'm gonna use probably just these 3 jalapenos, and I have 4 jars that I'm gonna use today, or at least I think so. We'll see how it all fits. But you don't have to use any if you don't want to, or you can just use 1. And if you like it really spicy, you could use a serrano pepper instead. Totally up to you. Okay, when we cut the carrots, I like to cut them on a diagonal. You can cut them however you want, but the same thing, a little bit thick, not too thick. But we like it because it makes kind of a bigger piece to grab onto. That's how I do it. Again, you don't have to do it that way. Some people like it in sticks. It just depends, whatever you like. Cut them however you want. You see this one is a skinnier carrot, so I'll make my diagonals a little bit longer so that the pieces come out a little bit bigger. All right, still just chopping carrots. Now I've never bought these colored carrots before. This was just something like, I went and this is what they had. They didn't even have regular carrots. They only had these, so that's what I got. And we just tried it, and it's actually really good. It has a little bit different flavor than a regular carrot. Almost tastes like it's kind of spiced a little bit, which that seems weird, but it tastes really good. And that was the purple one. We didn't try this white one. I wonder if the white one tastes like a parsnip. We'll find out here in a minute. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna dry fit into our jars so we know how much it's gonna fit, so that we don't end up with more or less than we need for the jars we have. I kind of feel like I'm gonna need to get a couple more jars out. So that's what we're doing. So we're just gonna take a little bit from each and just dry fit them into the jars. Shake them around sometimes, get them all to fit down in there. You don't want to have a lot of empty space in your jars. You want to make sure everything fits good when you go to actually do the process. Okay, so you see I had to pull out some more jars because I was like, oh damn, I haven't even put cauliflower in any of them yet. This is not gonna work. So we're gonna start with some big jars. Let's do some cauliflower. And a few carrots. Whoops, lost one, casualty. Some onion. Some jalapeno. I think this is gonna work better. Ooh. Throwing things. Yeah, I think that'll work better. Okay. Okay, we ended up with 2 quart jars and 4 pint jars. So that's good. Now, we're gonna take it all out so we can sterilize our jars. So let's get our pot. So I'm using today this beautiful cazuela that my daughter brought me back from Mexico from her recent trip. So we're gonna pour all of our contents in here. And then we'll sterilize our jars. And you can sterilize your jars however you want. You can put them in your dishwasher under a rinse cycle, a hot rinse with hot dry. You can just put them into boiling water in a pot on the stove. Or you can, depending how hot your tap water is, my tap water gets to like 150 degrees, literally, which is boiling. And so I will put them in the sink with tap water and just a splash of vinegar, along with the lids, and get all those sterilized. Okay, so now we're gonna start our brine process. We're gonna put in those garlic cloves. Remember I told you we held out a couple of small garlic cloves. We'll just throw those in there for flavor. And then the recipe that I'm gonna post for you guys is gonna be a recipe that is basically half of what I'm doing right now because I ended up using those 2 large jars, so that would be basically doubling my recipe. So I'm gonna double it in my mind and do it in here, but when I put the recipe in the comments, or I'm sorry, in the description for you guys, I'm gonna do the correct recipe, which is for 4 pint jars. Okay, let's get started. We're gonna start with spices first. So we're gonna do, oh, I lied, not salt. We're gonna do our spices first. We're gonna do our sugar. And our sugar is gonna be 4 teaspoons. I use organic sugar, you can use whatever you want. This is just granulated sugar. And these measurements, a little extra, these measurements are really, you know, to your preference and your taste. After you make it for the first time, you might say, ooh, that's a little too sharp for me. I don't like as much vinegar. Or, you know what, I like a more pickled, I want a little more vinegar. Or I like it a little more salty or a little more sweet or whatever. So, you know, you can adjust it to your own taste. This is just a recipe that I've developed for our taste. And then we're going to do our vinegar. I'm doing, perfect, I'm doing 3 cups, and then I'm gonna do 3 cups of water. There's 2. One more. And that's 3. And then we're making, so what I'm making essentially is 6 cups of brine. Now, I have, what, 8 cups according to the volume of my jars, but you have to allow for displacement of the brine because you're packing all of those vegetables inside of there, so it's not gonna take a full, you know, 2 cups, 4 cups, whatever, to fill up that jar, so that we're allowing for displacement. So what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna add a couple of peppercorns to this. Just a, you know, handful or so. Scatter those around. And then I'm gonna add a couple of bay leaves. And then what we're gonna do is, we're also gonna put spices directly into the jars after we take them out of sterilization. So we'll add a couple of big bay leaves in here. Let's do 4, I like bay leaf. All right, and I'm not gonna put any oregano inside of this while it's boiling, because it tends to get messy onto the vegetables. So we're gonna put that into the jar. And then we'll get this on the stove. We're gonna bring it up to a boil. Once it starts boiling, we're gonna set a timer for 5 minutes and then we're gonna turn it off. No lid, just let it go for 5 minutes. We don't want these to get super soft and mushy. We want them to still be crisp, but slightly cooked. If you don't cook them, there are people that do it. You can not cook them. You can do all this cold if you want to, or just put the vegetables into the jars and pour hot brine over them. There's so many different ways to do it. This is the way we like it because, like I said, we like the vegetables still crisp, but to be slightly soft, not completely crunchy, not completely raw. So let's get it on the stove and bring it to a boil. All right, so it's just starting to come up to a little bit of a simmer right now. So I'm just this pan is a little bit overfilled. So I'm just gonna push these down a little bit. But as you can see, as I'm pushing this down, those purple carrots really turn that brine at kind of like a pink color. It's kind of pretty. Okay, it's been boiling for 5 minutes. We just turned it off. This pan holds a lot of heat, so it's gonna stay like that for a little bit. I'm just gonna take the jars out of the hot water and put them on the towel and then move this over, and then we'll get started with our spices in the jar. Okay, now we're gonna start putting our spices into our jars. No need to dry the jars, they'll be fine. We're gonna do about a teaspoon in each one of these jars and 2 teaspoons in these. So this is a half teaspoon, my measurement, or my little spoon here. So that's 1. And then that's 2 in that one. And you can use any salt. I'm using pink Himalayan fine grind sea salt, but you could use kosher salt or pickling salt, whatever you'd like. And then we're gonna take our peppercorns, and we're gonna do about a teaspoon in each jar. This is really discretional, whatever you like. And then these jars, we're gonna do double, because remember, this is a taller jar. All right, that's good for those. And then we're gonna do oregano. You guys see my pot still bubbling away over there? That pot holds in heat so well. And we're gonna do half a teaspoon of oregano in each of the small jars and a teaspoon in the big ones. That's kind of a teaspoon, close enough. Again, discretionary. If you don't like oregano or your family doesn't like it, don't put it in. Whatever you like. And I love recipes that are versatile like that, because some people have allergies or just, you know, food aversions and things like that, and you can just do whatever your little heart desires. And we're gonna do a bay leaf in each jar. And might do big ones in these ones. And we get them all? One more. All right. Now, we're just gonna take some tongs and we're gonna start putting the veggies into each jar, and then once we get them packed in there good, then we'll start putting the brine in. Just wanna make sure that we're getting a little bit of each thing. I mean, this is for your family. They don't have to be exact, guys. This is not gonna go sit on a shelf somewhere for sale. So you do whatever is good for your family. You will see, however, that it packs in a little bit differently once the veggies are a little bit cooked. They're easier to kind of smush in. Make sure we get some of those garlics in here. Another one. All right, we're gonna leave it like that for now. And then we're gonna continue filling the rest of these jars. Okay, so you can see that I ended up filling 4 small jars and only 1 of the large jars. We ended up not needing this one, so a little waste of some spices, but not the end of the world. I mean, I buy my spices in bulk and that's probably less than $1. So, you know, just goes to show you that, you know, when you're cooking, sometimes it's, you know, you never know what's gonna happen in the end. So now we're just gonna fill these up with the brine. And you wanna leave about a 1/4 inch of space at the top, which is usually right at the bottom of the neck of the jar. And we're just gonna continue filling these up. And as luck would have it, we have just enough brine just for these jars anyway. We wouldn't have had enough for that other one, so isn't that funny how that worked out? Just top these off just a little bit. Alrighty. Now, like I said, this is not, we're not pressure canning these or water bath canning these or anything like that. So pretty much at this point we're done. I'm gonna get a paper towel and just wipe off the rim so that our lids will seal. And then we're gonna put them together. Now remember, these jars are hot. So I am touching them with my hands and I probably shouldn't be, but you know, I'm kind of used to working with stuff like this. But if you're sensitive to things like that, you can put gloves on or hold them with a pot holder or something like that. All right, so we're gonna put our, and again, because we're not pressure canning, I am using, reusing lids. These lids, the flat lids, are, you know, from jars that I've had from the past. So you don't have to do that. You could buy new ones every time, but you know, since they're not going in a pressure canner and these are not meant to be shelf stable, these are gonna remain in the refrigerator, it's okay to reuse. If you were pressure canning or water bath canning, you would wanna use brand new of the seals every time. These outer rings, you can reuse those, but the interior ones, the flat lids, you would wanna do brand new ones of those if you were gonna water bath. And you wanna make these just not super tight, but like finger tight where they won't leak, because we are gonna shake. And like I said, they are hot. So I'm gonna use the assistance of a paper towel for this part. I'm gonna hold it by the ring and the bottom, and I'm gonna flip it upside down. You see how all the salt and everything is at the bottom? So we wanna shake that up so that all those spices gets incorporated. And that hot brine, because it was boiling, is gonna dissolve that salt right away, and you'll see it. Now you can see it's gone. It's all dissolved. And then we're gonna put these upside down on a kitchen towel on the counter. We're just gonna leave them there. See, there's all that salt. We're just gonna shake a couple of times until you see it dissolved. All right, upside down. I'm so impressed with the way the color of this brine turned out, guys. Gosh, I mean, that looks so pretty. These would make such a beautiful gift for somebody. Maybe you're going over for a barbecue on Memorial Day weekend or something, and you could take a hostess gift. These are great. The color is just so pretty. Didn't get like super, super red, but it did get a little bit, so it's like kind of pink, a little blush. It's nice. All right, now the big guy. All right, so like I said, we're gonna leave these on the counter and let them cool. I'm gonna leave mine out overnight because I'm doing this in the early evening. If you were doing it in the morning, they probably would be cooled off by, you know, late afternoon, early evening, and you could put them into the refrigerator. But you don't wanna put them in the refrigerator when they're still hot. So I'm gonna leave mine sit, and we'll put them we'll check on them before we go to bed. If they're cooled down enough, I can put them in the fridge. If not, we'll put them in the morning. It's okay to leave them out just overnight like that. And then, like I said, we'll put them right in the fridge. Okay, for the sake of the video, we're gonna use a previous batch for the taste test, just because you know, those have to sit overnight and then they have to chill in the refrigerator and all that good stuff, and so we don't wanna eat them hot. So this is from a previous batch that I made, so you can see this one I didn't use cauliflower and I just used regular carrots, but they are still delicious. And these will keep in the refrigerator for 3 to 4 months. Unsealed. Once you crack that seal, they're good for, you know, 2-3 weeks or so, or maybe a little longer. And these I actually made, I think, gosh, I must have made them before Christmas time, I think. So they've been lasting us a long time. So let's give it a little test. A little bit spicy. The pickle is so nice on it. It's not too sharp, and it's still crunchy, which is what I love about these carrots. These are similar to carrots that you would find in like a Mexican restaurant or like a taco shop or whatever, where they have those little carrots on the salsa bar. That's essentially what these are. Like I said before, if you don't like spice, you don't have to put the jalapenos in. Don't, you know, that way they wouldn't come out spicy, they would just be pickled. You can use this method for any hard vegetable, any root vegetable. So parsnips, rutabaga, I mean, if you wanted beets, I guess. I personally wouldn't do beets this way, I like them sweet, but either way, any type of a root vegetable you can do this on. If you want a video on making pickled cucumbers for actual pickles, let me know in the comment section, and then I can make a video on that as well. With all that being said, I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know that I've been kind of out of commission for a little bit, but we're back and we're going to be on a regular schedule now. So please tune in. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social media pages, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we do put out a new video. Thanks for watching. Bye.